So here recently, when we were talking about sophomores for the Oklahoma Sooners that were set to have a major season, we settled on three names, with four making an honorable mention. In that video, the three primary names we talked about being Billy Bowman, Danny Stutzman, and Jaleel Farouk, and the fourth name being the honorable mention was Ethan Downs. But since that video, so many of you have come to me saying Ethan Downs is set to have a big season, and so many of you are telling me you're excited with him, not to mention when I podcast with Chris or JP, I keep hearing the praises sung of Ethan Downs, and with that, we need to break it all down today. So with that being said, before we begin, y'all know the drill. I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, Y for yes, N for no. Are you excited for what Ethan Downs looks to bring to the table this season for the Oklahoma Sooners? And let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it, and if you enjoyed the content, like and comment down below, as those interactions, those seemingly small, are incredibly impactful to content creators such as myself. But with all that being said, we need to hop right into this because Ethan Downs was a former top 200 player overall coming out of high school, coming in as a top 15 edge rusher in the nation at number 12. He's got great size, being 6'5", and now being in a college weight room and environment, especially since Schmidt's been introduced into the equation. He's someone who already had the physical tools necessary to get the job done on the next level, and he certainly has the athletic ability to do so. But with a year in the system to learn what it takes from a technical standpoint to succeed, and then having a year in getting your body right, especially under Schmidt, it's going to be incredibly interesting to see what he brings to the table this year, because when you talk to people, they are incredibly high on Ethan Downs, and it's easy to see why when you flip on the tape. He is a gifted pass rusher and someone who I think is going to make his presence known. And what's more for the Oklahoma Sooners is when you're looking at this defense and you're asking yourself, okay, where are going to be some strong points? We knew that the past few years, that pass rush for Oklahoma was really a strong part of that defense, especially with what Nick Bonitto was able to do. But now they're replacing that. And there are several names that could come up and have an increase in production, and nobody would bat an eyelash, and Ethan Downs is among that list. But the importance of replicating a portion of the production they lost is going to be necessary. The way Oklahoma has been able to get after the quarterback when rushing an individual such as Nick Bonitto has really led to a strong part of their defense. And so they must try and carry that over, even though they have a new defensive philosophy altogether. But even then, if we go back to Clemson and look at Clemson's defense, the presence of Todd Bates on that defensive front was such a positive factor for them, and how the Clemson's defensive front was able to win them games. When we carry all of that over to Oklahoma, I don't suspect that will change at all. The linebacker play is absolutely set to get better with Brent Venables being there. But that defensive front is going to be such a strong portion of Brent Venables' defense, just as it was when he was coaching the Clemson defense, and especially that Todd Bates follows him over, and especially that Miguel Chavez is there. And even though Chavez is a newer coach, he saw what it took to be successful on the national level at Clemson, from Dabo, from Brent Venables, and from Todd Bates. That's something you have to be excited about, and especially when I talk to people such as Chris Griffin of the Horns Down podcast and Indy Sooner, and they're really singing the praises of Ethan Downs from what they're hearing, saying this is a kid that is really set to take over. And that was echoed by so many of you down in the comments, because when I did that video, I asked for other individuals you were excited about, and the overwhelming majority of you came to me saying, hey, great that Ethan Downs was an honorable mention, but let's take a video talking about him, and here we are, because I am excited to see what he can do, especially when you're trying to replicate so much production and such efficient production from an edge rush perspective. When you look at all the new coaches on the defensive front, that edge and that defensive line in particular is going to be a strong suit, so replicating it is only going to be necessary. But when you have a former top 200 athlete that stands 6'5" and has now been in the college system for a year, getting his body right, getting his technique right, and now has Schmidt to be in that strength and conditioning room with him, sky's the limit for what Ethan Downs can do. And I'm really excited to see how he's going to be able to affect the game, because one of the other areas that we don't talk about as much, but I'm going to hit on lightly before we get out of here, is that the presence of what Oklahoma has on the interior is only going to help the exterior guys. And in addition, such as Jeffrey Johnson out the transfer portal is going to prove to be so important in what he's able to allow, not only in production for himself, but in production for everybody else by simply being good at his job. Go back and watch Jeffrey Johnson at Tulane. You're going to be highly impressed with his tape. I'm really excited to see what he brings to the table, because if he goes out there and has the type of season I think he could have, he's going to earn a name for himself, but he's also going to allow for others to eat, as is the nature of that position. So, hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking about for Ethan Downs this season, because everyone I talk to keeps singing the praises of this young man, and when you look at his film from high school, obviously impressive. He has the size, strength, speed, all the tools you would want, and now he's been in the college system for over a year and now has Jerry Schmidt. You gotta love the chances of this kid being successful. So hop down in the comments, let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.